Today I'm going to share a story about how I lost a $16,000 commission check over one email. Stay tuned. Hello ladies and gentlemen, as you know, my name is Aaron. I'm a real estate agent in the Chicagoland area. I am holding this mic because I couldn't figure out a way to put it on my sweater without making it look hideous, so we're just gonna go old school. We're just gonna hold it right in front of me and try to keep the distance at the proper range it needs to be. But anyhow, it's story time. Okay, that's what it is. It's story time. I'm going to go over exactly how I lost a $16,000 commission check over one email. I was representing the buyer on this transaction, and I will tell you from beginning to end on how it started. The buyer had a very specific criteria. They needed to be in a very specific neighborhood, and they were looking for a very specific style home. And that specific style is a first floor master, which is very rare in the neighborhood that they were looking in. There's maybe like out of the 300 houses, maybe 20 or so had the first floor master. And there was nothing on the market available. So what I did was, because it was such a tight-knit community, it was a gated area, I got in touch with all the real estate agents that work in that area, that know when houses are going to come on the market, yay or nay. And I told them to reach out to me when something comes up. And just like that, something came up. It was a ranch, one of the only 6 ranches in the entire neighborhood. It was not even on the market yet, right? This is around December 19th. I want to say it was 2017, or it may have been it was 2017 of December. Agent reaches out to me, says, hey, I got this house. It's a ranch. It's fully redone, brand new deck, etc., etc. We're probably going to list it in the spring, but your clients are welcome to see it now and put an offer in if they're interested. Of course we're interested. A ranch? I didn't even know ranches were even going to come on the market. We were even considering 2-story options with elevators at this point. We go, we show the property, and there was really no asking price because the house was never on the market. So we try to figure out what are you trying to get for this house, and they kept saying make an offer, make an offer. So I go and I run the comps, and I figure out that this house is worth easily around $630. That's a fair price to pay for it. So I'm like, let's come in at $600,000 and take it from there. So we come in at $600,000. And they counter with 745, or no, 736, something in that realm. Obviously, we're so far apart. We try one more time. We try at 620. They countered like 726, I think. So no dramatic changes in price. So that really pissed me off, pissed the client off. But that's not how I lost the commission check, because I never give up on a deal because I knew that was a good house. I mean, the chances of another ranch, there's only 6 ranches, a chance of another one coming on the market, very rare, right? So I said, let's forget about it. We're going to stay in touch, but for now we'll let them go. So I always keep my eye around the neighborhood, see what's coming up, etc. And then towards, I want to say around February, I get a call from that agent, like, hey, the seller has reconsidered, they're going to be more reasonable now, can you please make an offer? Now I'm like, well, before I talk to my client, I need to know exactly what range they're in. We go a little back and forth, she stalls, etc., etc. I find out she's like mid-600,000. I'm like, great, so she's looking to get around 640 to 650, is that right? She's like, yep, cool. Call my client. I'm like, listen, if you're willing to pay $630, I can get him down and wrap this sucker up. And he's like, yep, I'm willing to pay $630. So we pay $630 and we wrap that sucker up right away because I knew they wanted to sell and it was going to be an off-market deal. It was going to be great. And I got him down over $100,000 on the asking price. So it's going to be great for me. We're going through the inspection. Everything seems fine. We asked for a few things to be repaired, and they repair most of it, except for there was a small section of the house that had cracked stucco. If you don't know what that is, it's like a concrete-like material, but when it gets cracks in it, it's a concern because water can get in and cause even more problems. So my client requested that crack to be fixed. Seller says no. Client comes back and says, okay, well then have it inspected to make sure it's okay. Seller says no, you can have it inspected. So 2 times we asked, 2 times it said no. So the 3rd time, my client buyer is like, okay, forget about it, let's just move forward. He said, let's move forward on February 21st, I believe. And on February 23rd, I received the email that said, this contract is now null and void. Please accept your earnest money. Contract is over. You're canceling the deal. That's from the seller. The seller emailed us. Now, I'm confused because I'm trying to figure out exactly what happened. I think this was still in my first year or going into my 2nd year as a real estate agent. So I was just very confused as to what the hell is going on here. I'm like, what? I thought we had a great deal. We had a good price. Everything was going smooth. What went wrong here? I get everybody on the phone, and it turns out it's the stucco issue. But what really happened was another buyer came along when they found out that we put the place under contract for 630. So they got a better offer, and all they needed was an opportunity to back out. And we gave them that opportunity by arguing about the stucco. But now you're probably asking yourself, but Aram, your client agreed to move forward. He did. But his stupid attorney never sent the email saying we agreed to these terms, let's move forward. Because the attorney was too busy being a contractor, an accountant, tax consultant, etc., etc. He was too busy, so he never sent the email. And because he never sent the email, we essentially opened up the door and we let the deal fall apart. And so I wake up that morning, there's no way to put it back together. There it is, $16,000 commission check just disappeared out of my pocket, out of my life, because of one simple email that was never sent. All you had to write is, we agreed to the terms, let's move forward. I don't even know how many characters that is, but that's not a lot. So as you can imagine, something like this happening deals with a lot of stress, and when you're in that price point, everyone's pretty wealthy, or they have a lot of excess income. So my client moved forward to sue this individual, the seller, to try to get the house, because we didn't know when another ranch was going to come on the market. All in all, that has caused a lot of problems for my clients. For me, I mean, it's just a $16,000 commission check. I actually ended up getting most of it back because we ended up buying a house for $525, so it was not a big deal for me. But now the client is in a lawsuit, and then the seller came back and sued my client. It was a mess, all over a simple email. As I'm editing this video, I realized I completely forgot to mention exactly why my client decided to go to that extra step and sue the seller to buy the property. Reason being is, it turns out, the clever real estate agent that I am, I had from the beginning asked for an extension on that 10-day period you have to come to an agreement on all inspection issues, because they wouldn't let us in until day 4 to do the inspection. So on day 10, when they canceled the contract, the period you have to actually come to an agreement had not been met yet. So they had no right to cancel the contract. That is why my client sued. They had every right to do so. And if the seller had fought the suit, they would have lost. So what the seller did was they stalled long enough for my client to decide to move on. But then at that point, the buyer, the second buyer, had also backed out. So that's when the seller decided to come back and sue my client. The lessons I take from this is 2 lessons. Number 1, never, as the real estate agent, no matter how professional you think the attorneys are or how great the lender is, always keep your eye and finger on the pulse to make sure nothing can go wrong. For example, a mistake I made right there is the buyer, my client, was working with an attorney they had known for 10 plus years. Right? So I'm like, okay, so they're going to be in good hands. They're going to be taken care of. So I went hands off for the inspection period because I'd sold the house with the same attorney for the same client, and I was kind of used to the experience because he never called. He was very bad at communicating. So I'm like, I'm just going to let him handle it. That's where I made the mistake, is I disconnected for a temporary period of time, and I didn't realize that email wasn't sent. If I was actually in tune with everything that was going on, I would have caught that fact that the email wasn't sent, and I would have sent it out. I would have reached out to the agent, to the attorney, and be like, hey, send this email, blah, blah, blah. The second lesson or takeaway I got from this deal is how important it is to have people working on your team, so like your attorney, your lender, be true professionals, and like you have to have trust in these people. For example, I did not trust this attorney, and the client should not have trusted the attorney either, regardless of their pedigree or et cetera, because they were too busy, way too busy. So picking your team of experts that are going to help your clients is so important. And when clients want to use their own people, which there's nothing wrong with that, but advise them that, listen, this is what we need. Is this person qualified? Boom. Move forward. So that about wraps up story time today. I hope you enjoyed this video. I know it was a little bit different than what I usually make, but I had a request yesterday in the comments to make a story time video or a deal gone wrong, etc. So this is what that is. And while this deal fell apart due to an attorney, and I understand most states do not even have real estate attorneys, it doesn't really matter. There's so many people involved in a real estate transaction. If one person messes up, it can cause the whole thing to fall apart. So our jobs as agents is to pretty much manage all these people, make sure everybody's doing their job and doing it on time so we can get the closing and everybody can get paid. please, when you have a moment, like, comment, and subscribe to my channel. If you're not already subscribed, I would really appreciate it. And in the comment section, please share some of your stories about deals that fell apart, deals that were falling apart that you saved, or just some nightmare transactions. I would love to read some other feedback and kind of get an idea of what's going on out there in the real world and what you guys are experiencing in different markets. So please let me know. And as always, thank you so much for watching. Have yourselves a nice day. Bye-bye.